It's WrestleMania season here on the For Frequency's Sake Network. We're glad you're with us to enjoy every minute, the ebb and flow, all the excitement. This is the Card Subject to Change podcast, and we're going to be breaking down some Elite 8 countdowns for you. And our first one is the Elite 8 entrances in WrestleMania history. Now, CZ, you've been a WrestleMania fan, wrestling fan for about as long as I have. WrestleMania is synonymous with great entrances. And there's some definitely memorable ones here on this Elite 8.
There really are, and I'm glad that the number one that got voted by our panel, our elite panel of 8 that we polled, including you and myself and our tribal chief DJ, is the one that it is, and that is probably the first really big entrance, at least in my memory. Nick, correct me if I'm wrong, but that would be WrestleMania 12 and Shawn Michaels ziplining down into the crowd.
Yeah, anytime you think back to WrestleMania in your head, you see that wide shot of HBK on the zip cord zipping into the ring. This had a lot of moving parts, and this was kind of the first big major entrance, I think, that I can remember for WrestleMania. Of course, Shawn Michaels realized his boyhood dream that night, beating Bret the Hitman Hart in the Iron Man match, plus a little overtime. But this entrance really kicked it off as Shawn Michaels was coming to his own, had a rise at that time to his career. WrestleMania 12 culminated that once he won the World Wrestling Federation Heavyweight Championship. But that zip line is synonymous with Shawn Michaels zipping into WrestleMania 12 and zipping into our memories and zipping into this Elite 8 entrances.
Of course, he's not the king of WrestleMania, though he is Mr. WrestleMania. If you want to talk about kings, we're going to talk about our next person on the list, and that is one Hunter Hearst Helmsley, best known as Triple H, and his entrance from WrestleMania 30. That is the throne entrance, where he is surrounded by, I believe, Alexa Bliss, Charlotte Flair, and Sasha Banks. Who are derobing him, taking off the cape and the crown as he just makes this stellar approach to the ring. One of my all-time favorite entrances overall.
Well, you can't be the king of kings without a kingly entrance and without a throne, and Triple H brings that to the table here at WrestleMania 30 in New Orleans. This was the opening match of the show, of course, taking on Daniel Bryan. This was will forever be remembered as Yeselmania, when Daniel Bryan beat the machine and finally was able to bring home both titles in the main event. But he had to go through Triple H first in the opening contest of the night, and Triple H spared no expense, pulled out all the stops for his royal entrance as the King of Kings, taking on Daniel Bryan here at WrestleMania 30.
Absolutely. Next on the list, our boy HBK. He's on here a couple times, and there's a good reason. We go back to WrestleMania 25, one of the best matches in WrestleMania history for sure. But the entrance of Shawn Michaels. He is dressed all in white and in complete contrast to his opponent, The Undertaker. He is descending from the heavens, white clad, white cowboy hat, white outfit, and just coming down on that lift from the top of the WrestleMania Tron.
With a choir of angels singing him, correct?
Correct.
Shawn Michaels encapsulates the light, taking on the darkness here at WrestleMania 25. It's good versus evil. It's Shawn Michaels all clad in white, taking on The Undertaker, the dead man, all clad in black. This is a dream entrance. This is probably my personal favorite on the list, as it really culminated at WrestleMania. The build with these two, good versus evil, darkness versus light, and Shawn Michaels encapsulates that by coming by ascending. I think that's how it went. I don't know. We spare no expense here for sound effects and production. They'll fix that in production, I hope.
Yeah, next one on the list, we talked about Shawn Michaels facing The Undertaker at 25. We go back a few years and talk about his opponent from 25, 5 years prior at WrestleMania 20. That is The Undertaker. And it's in his match against Kane. You see Kane pacing the ring, and then you hear the iconic voice of one Paul Bearer. Oh, yes. And then comes Paul with the urn. Out come the Druids with the flaming torches. This entrance has always given me chills.
Has The Undertaker had cooler entrances? Possibly. But this is probably as bare bones as it gets. You get the Druids with the torches, Paul Bearer screaming at the beginning of it. And of course, it's against Kane. The second WrestleMania encounter between Undertaker and Kane. Remember, their first one was at WrestleMania 14 in Boston. But we're highlighting Taker's entrance from WrestleMania 20. And you're right. When you think of Undertaker, you think of the Druids and the darkness, the creatures of the night as they hold the torches as Undertaker passes. Undertaker had an unbelievable streak. This was still going here at WrestleMania 20 as he took on Kane. He would continue that streak here by beating Kane. And you got to think that entrance had to help him along the way as he made his way to the ring to take on his brother Kane.
And, you talk about WrestleMania entrances. You can't not have this guy on the list. I will tell you that there were several entrances nominated, but the one that made the list is from WrestleMania 25, and that is one John Cena.
You see a million guys doing this. We're visiting WrestleMania 25 again. Of course, Shawn Michaels and his 25 entrance against The Undertaker is already on this Elite 8 list. But John Cena, we would be remiss if we didn't have him as one of the Elite 8 entrances for WrestleMania. Say what you want about him, but he is one of the most polarizing figures, one of the most polarizing champions in WWE history. And this entrance at 25 spares no expense. I don't know how many John Cena clones there were. Could we say 60? I don't know how many John Cenas there were, but to see that many John Cena lookalikes doing this, it leaves an impression in your mind. And John Cena definitely made his way onto the list. Although the panel may not have voted possibly for our favorite John Cena entrance. We talked about the entrance at 22. Is that correct? When he's in Chicago and he arrives as the Roaring 20s gangster. With the Tommy guns and stuff. CM Punk was a part of that entrance if you want to go back and look. But regardless of what John Cena entrance makes the list, you can't deny it. He's got to be on this list. He's one of the most polarizing figures, and he had some great entrances on the biggest stage of them all.
Absolutely. The next entrant on our list kind of surprised me, not in a bad way. But we've got Shinsuke Nakamura make an appearance on our Elite 8 from WrestleMania 34. And Shinsuke, the thing that captivates people about his entrance is not how he comes to the ring himself. It's his music. When those violins hit, it's captivating. But even more so, Nita Strauss playing his entrance on the guitar, on the electric guitar, on the ramp next to him as he's coming down the ring, just electrified that entire arena.
CZ, what's the common thread with a great entrance? Crowd participation, right? You get it now with Seth Rollins' entrance. The people sing his song. You get it now with Cody Rhodes and the whoa. People can sing along to Nakamura's song. And I'm telling you what, after this 34 entrance, I thought for sure he was going to win the championship against AJ Styles. That's another story when he doesn't win and how pissed off I was after. We can talk about that later.
You're not the only one.
We can talk about that later, the Elite 8 pissed off moments for WrestleMania. This entrance was awesome. The crowd ate it up with a spoon. Nina Strauss being there, playing the way Nakamura as he walked to the ring. Too bad Nakamura wasn't able to pull out the win against AJ Styles, but that's neither here or there. We're talking about the Elite 8 entrances here for WrestleMania. Card Subject to Change podcast on the For Frequency Sake Network, breaking it down here. The Elite 8 entrances, and Shinsuke Nakamura from WrestleMania 34 makes the list.
Number 7 is from WrestleMania 37. A surprise entrant in my opinion, but still a fantastic way to come out at WrestleMania. We're talking about The Fiend. Alexa Bliss comes out. There's a big box sitting ringside
with a crank handle on the side.
You hear the pop goes the weasel as she's cranking the handle, and then there he is, the Burnt Fiend, coming out to face Randy Orton.
Definitely a puzzling entrance. I don't know if I would have voted for this one, but the panel gets this one through. I liked Bray Wyatt's entrance from 30 in New Orleans with the Fireflies and the darkness, but that's neither here nor there. This was a very puzzling entrance. The match wasn't anything to be remembered. If I remember correctly, Uncle Dave Meltzer reviewed it and gave it negative stars, but the entrance is very perplexing as Alexa Bliss turns the crank on the side of the box and out pops the weasel. And Bray Wyatt starts the match by jumping off the top of that box onto Randy Orton in the ring. But excuse me, the late, great Bray Wyatt, playing the Fiend character at this time, makes the list at the Elite Eight, number 7 for his entrance at WrestleMania 37.
37. And we're going to round out the Elite Eight. We're going to wrap up this this conversation briefly here with someone else who's a two-timer on the list. HBK made it twice, and his DX cohort, Mr. Triple H, coming on, getting voted onto the list a second time. And we're talking about WrestleMania 31. And that, if you remember correctly, Nick, was the Terminator entrance.
Yes, Triple H wore a very heavy overcoat of metal, titanium, with the Terminator, the nod to the Terminator and Terminator 2 movies, starring the great Arnold Schwarzenegger. But yes, this is known as the Terminator entrance from 31. 31 had some great entrances all around. You want to go back and look at it and talk about a whole mania. If we talked about best entrance mania of all time on this Elite Eight list, 31 would definitely be on there, as it's represented very well, as your memory serves you correct. But Triple H coming out as a Terminator, whether he's the King of Kings or he's being portrayed as a Terminator, Triple H spared no expense when it came to entrances. That's one thing you'll always remember. One of my favorite entrances of Triple H was WrestleMania 18, when Motorhead, who sings Time to Play the Game, King of Kings, they also did the Evolution theme, played him to the ring against Undertaker at WrestleMania 18. One of my favorite. Doesn't make the list, but regardless, this was a great entrance. So was his King of King entrance from 30. He follows it up with the Terminator entrance from 31, and Triple H makes the Elite Eight in 2 spots on the, for frequency's sake, card subject to change, Elite